Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chris Maloney back with you for another edition of CWN Weekly, episode number 17. Sorry, just adjusting my mic volume there. It's kind of loud. But yeah, today is Friday, December the 11th, 2020, otherwise known as March all over again here in London, Ontario, Canada. Kind of feels that way. We're getting pretty close, but you know what? 2020 is on the way out. 2021's on the way in. Lots of talk about the vaccination this week. So I will leave it at that because this is a show about pro wrestling, Canadian independent wrestling, as well as mixed martial arts. So, guys, I will keep it at that. Keep the politics out of this show, this podcast, so to speak, and concentrate on episode number 17. So, if you're listening or watching, thank you very much. And if you're a new listener, thanks. We are officially on iHeartRadio now. Lots of different platforms. I'll get that kind of probably at the end of the show. I'll let you guys know what platforms we are on, as well as some stats as far as the website goes, as well as the podcast itself goes. So, guys, I'll leave it at that. But like we do every single week, anniversaries and birthdays for the week. So on today, actually, and this was back in 2014, Kevin Owens defeated CJ Parker. People know that name. He is now known as Juice Robinson. NXT TakeOver Revolution. Yeah, I didn't realize this until today as far as the pronunciation goes. Our Evolution is how NXT officially pronounced it back in the day. But anyways, Kevin Owens defeats CJ Parker at NXT TakeOver Our Evolution 2014. This was Kevin Owens' debut match for NXT. He had made an appearance at one of the takeovers in the crowd. And then basically, like I said, this was his first match as far as NXT goes. So 6 years ago. So Kevin Owens has been annoying wrestling fans down there in the WWE for 6 years now. But I could see Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, so to speak, back in the day when the ROH Championship in Toronto against, I think it was Davey Richards. I think he ended up beating him at one of the events, War of the Worlds tour, I think it was. But I want to say 2011. So yeah, I've known about Kevin Owens for a while. So huge fan of this guy. As you can see, the action figure behind me there. As well, the 15th is the birthday of the one and only Eric Young, 41 years old, born in 1979. So yeah, he will be getting up there in age as far as I tell you this, he looks good for his age, and the fact that he basically left WWE, he's been doing well Impact Wrestling there. Congrats to him. So Eric Young, like I said, 41 years old on the 15th. 37 years old on the 15th is the one and only Rene Dupree. People know him back in the day of the original brand split. La Resistance, obviously the gimmick that he had over there on SmackDown, Tori Wilson, I think, and some Japanese guy, I forget his name, but he had a good strong presence as a singles wrestler as well as a tag team wrestler. So Rene Dupree, like I said, the 15th as well, 37 years old, and then UFC MMA legend David the Crow Loiseau. 1979. He's 41 years old as well. His birthday's on the 17th. So, guys, that is it for birthdays, anniversaries going on there. So, some sad news once again. Last week on the show, episode number 16, we're talking about Pat Patterson. This week, unfortunately, we're talking about Mr. Tom Tiny Lister, otherwise known as Zeus. He passed away yesterday. News broke. This comes courtesy of WWE.com. Tom Tiny Lister, known to WWE fans as Zeus, passes away. WWE is saddened to learn that Tom Tiny Lister, known as Zeus to the WWE Universe, passed away today at the age of 62. And this was yesterday, by the way. Zeus first entered the squared circle opposite Hulk Hogan in the 1989 film No Holds Barred. Rivalry extended beyond the big screen as the Human Wrecking Machine quickly formed a common bond with the one and only Macho Man Randy Savage in their shared quest to take down the Immortal One. Zeus and Savage battle Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Main event SummerSlam 1989. One of Zeus's most memorable moments came at Survivor Series 89 as part of Ted DiBiase's $1 Million team when the Human Wrecking Machine got the better of the Hulkster in an impressive display of strength. Lister famously portrayed the daunting Debo in the classic Friday and Next Friday movies, as well as roles in The Fifth Element, The Dark Knight, and Zootopia. WB extends its condolences to Lister's family, friends, and fans. And the one movie they had left off that I'm a huge fan of was Little Nicky. Huge Adam Sandler fan, but he was in Little Nicky alongside Adam Sandler there. So thoughts and prayers to the family, friends, fans, Tom Tiny Lister. He was, again, 62 years old. And I guess today I was reading just a little bit, just browsing the headlines. It looks like it might have been COVID that he caught that ended up why he ended up passing away. So thoughts, prayers with his friends, family, and fans. Personal memories of Zeus is, in 1989, I was about, how old was I? 13, I think. And I was a huge wrestling fan, but I was in the days the Ultimate Warrior was, a huge fan of him, a huge fan of the Painted guy. So Demolition, those guys there, Great Muta as well. And all of a sudden, it's 1989 and Hogan and it's still relevant. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, why is he wearing blue and white? And all of a sudden, next thing you know, they get this movie coming out called No Holds Barred. And I think there was something going on with regards to, hey, come watch the movie and then you can watch a match or something like that. So it was like if I remember correctly, there was some kind of premiere taking place, and then all of a sudden there was like a match or something like that was taking place as well. And I forget when it was. But I see this guy, Zeus, and he's got the Z, for American fans there, carved in his head. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a beast. He's a monster. He's making Hogan look small. And all of a sudden you see in the movie, all of a sudden the way that, they're acting, everything else. And Hulk Hogan at this point, to me, wasn't an actor. And still, I guess 2020 to me really isn't an actor, but the movie was great. All of a sudden you see Zeus, and this is before social media, the internet, everything else, jump onto the big screen as far as the WB goes. And the next thing you know, it's like, holy crap, you've got this movie star now who's portraying a wrestler, and put him alongside Savage and Scary Sherry there, and going against Beefcake and Hogan. And it was kind of cool. So when it comes down to it, he made everybody, look, basically, what am I trying to say? When he moved from basically acting over to wrestling, and even though it was a movie based on wrestling, Zeus was one of those guys that was believable, you know what I mean? And to me, it was it's a good period of time when you go back and you look at the matches that Hogan had back in 89, 88, 90, so to speak. And then Zeus being alive with the $1 Million Man there at Survivor Series. And it was a good period. And to me, is a lot of people on Twitter right now, thoughts and prayers and sharing the memories of Tom Tiny Lister. But to me, he'll always be Zeus. And even when I see him in Little Nicky, I think of, Zeus from the WWE. So, again, thoughts, prayers out to his family, friends, and fans. 62 years old, wasn't the oldest, wasn't the youngest, but again, he'll be missed, from the WWE universe as far and as well as wrestling fans. And I'll leave it at that. News of the week is this. So I did the show last week on Thursday. And so the only thing left over from Thursday I didn't touch on was a WWE Undefeated available now, iOS and Android devices. So guys, if you're a gamer, and this is not necessarily gaming on your systems, but basically on your phone. But like I said, WWE Undefeated is now available. Latest mobile game featuring real-time head-to-head competitions available now worldwide for iOS and Android devices, featuring WWE Superstars and Legends. WWE Undefeated blends over-the-top action with real-time strategy gameplay. Developed by Enway, developer and publisher of hit multiplayer games such as Power Rangers Legacy Wars and Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. WWE Undefeated features quick session matches designed for mobile devices set against exotic backdrops from around the world. So guys, you can check the article out, cwnonline.ca as always, and as well as wwd.com. So I'll leave that at that. I think it's the only bit of gaming news. Otherwise, I mean, the gaming awards were yesterday. I don't think there was any wrestling games featured or had won. Otherwise, it would have been touted, but I didn't see anything at all. So I'll leave it at that. Some clips from YouTube. Gerald Briscoe reflects on his friendship with Pat Patterson. That was on the 4th. Another one was without Pat Patterson, there might not be a Sergeant Slaughter. That was on the 4th as well. And then on the 5th, there was Stone Cold Steve Austin, remembers WB Hall of Famer Pat Patterson. So a little bit of, touching words by the three of those guys there. And, I think it's only a matter of time before we end up seeing a special on the WB network with regards to Pat Patterson. But it was cool to see those guys paying their respects on YouTube as well as WB.com. So guys, you can check that out there. From there, Reigns to battle Owens in tables, ladders, and chairs universal title match. So I'm excited for this. excuse me. Do I think Reigns is going to drop the title? Hell no. But again, if you go back probably about 6 or 7 episodes ago of CWN Weekly, you'll know my take on where I think Reigns should be headed. And with regards to that, it's one of those things where all of a sudden he, heel turns, Paul Heyman, title, all this sort of stuff happens. And a short story is this: build him strong to WrestleMania, including the Royal Rumble, and basically have him fight The Rock at WrestleMania 37. And I'll get more into that just in a couple moments there. But you know what? Seeing the two of those guys go at it in a TLC match for sure, I love it. Reigns as a heel, I'm loving. Kevin Owens, is like a badass when it comes to just wrestling in general. So to me, I'm excited about seeing that match. Do I think Owens is going to win? No. He is a former Universal Champion, but is he going to win against Roman Reigns? No, he is not. So leave it at that. Tribute to the Troops 2020 results. Drew McIntyre puts on the show at the 18th annual WWE Tribute to the Troops. You can check that out, cwnonline.ca, for the results there. Won't go too much into details on that. Weird that it happened the same day as NXT TakeOver, but here in London anyways, it was 4:30 in the afternoon it took place, lasted for an hour, and then next thing you know, 6:30 rolls around and you've got TakeOver pre-show. So, that was kind of cool. So if you're a wrestling fan, it kind of lined up. You didn't have to pick one over the other. I still haven't watched it yet. I've got it on the PVR, so I'll have to probably check that out sometime the next couple of days. NXT TakeOver War Games results. Team Candice, Undisputed Era win the war. I will not talk about it here simply because of the fact you go onto YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, audio. You can listen to my thoughts, CWN recap, and that was War Games there that I did last Sunday night. So like I said, available on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, as well as all the audio platforms as well. NXT to present New Year's Evil on Wednesday, January 6th. That was announced during the pay-per-view. So that'll be the next big event for NXT as far as their TakeOver series goes. But New Year's Evil, and it's interesting because of what happened this past Wednesday. So it's looking like they're going to line up to have one Karrion Kross probably be a huge part of that show there. Candice LeRae suffers arm injury at NXT TakeOver War Games. That came out on the 7th. So if you had seen the recap, so CWN recap with regards to the War Games edition, you'll know I made mention of the fact that after the match, when they're celebrating in the ring, you had the Indy Hartwell with the 4 women in the match, and Candice looks like she was kind of holding her arm, and I didn't know if it was a stomach thing or an arm injury, and obviously it looks like it's an arm injury there. But Triple H did a post-media call. Referenced with regards to they're going to get her x-rays to see where it is, to see what happened, if she's going to be on the shelf, so to speak. Didn't hear anything much more about it. Haven't seen NXT for this week yet. I ended up watching AEW this past Wednesday, but I haven't seen more news breaks. So hopefully it's a good thing where no news is good news there. Back-to-back comeback, El Phantasmo video interview that was on the 7th. That is on YouTube. Super J Cup 2020 takes place tomorrow. I'm going to do a preview here on the show. But if you're a fan of El Phantasmo, ELP, check that out on YouTube. As well as another interview, post-interview. So this is John Pollock with more Ronaldo on Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., their fight there, leaving the WWE. And then you can check that out, like I said, CWNonline.ca. So anything I normally reference on this show, you can check out on the website itself. So CWNonline.ca. I'd say about 95% of the stuff I talk about ends up on the website. There's the small little snippets that I will refer to in the podcast here that aren't necessarily on the website. But like I said, most of the stuff that I talk about here, you can find the links for those on cwnonline.ca. But the Ronaldo interview, haven't listened to yet, but he talks about leaving WWE this past summer. John Pollock also references the fact that More Ronaldo's got his own podcast out. I don't think it's on Apple Podcast yet. But it's called Morolog, and it is available on Spotify, and you can check the link, like I said, on cwnonline.ca, or hit up Spotify and just type in the word Morolog, all one word there. 2020 SLAMMY Awards, the best of Raw and SmackDown, coming Wednesday, December 23rd to WWE Network and digital platforms. So SLAMMYs are back. I don't think there's a lot of categories, though. I think when I looked, I think there was only a matter of a couple, but they've got it lined up for the 23rd, which is the same day WWE what is that show? The Bump takes place. So it'll be interesting to see if the Bump presents basically the SLAMMY Awards. But when you go to the article here, they've got a lot more than last time I saw. So maybe I just didn't scroll down far enough. But anyways, if you haven't checked it out yet, these are the categories you can vote for: Superstar of the Year, Match of the Year, Rivalry of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Return of the Year. Not making this up. Ring Gear of the Year, Breakout Star of the Year, Female Superstar of the Year, Male Superstar of the Year, and Moment of the Year. So some good categories there. Ring Gear of the Year is kind of unique, but again, it's the Slammies. Slammies are unique. Every time I think of Slammy, I think obviously of Owen Hart because of the way that he put the Slammies over. And I mean, there was that moment, I think. He had not won, but he had actually went up to the stage anyway and basically said, a two-time Slammy Award winner. I think that's where all that came from. It's been a while, but like I said, Owen Hart and Slammies will always go hand in hand as far as my wrestling memories go. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins announced the birth of their first child. So this was nice to hear as well as a parent. So this came out on December the 7th. And basically, it was not a lot of information, but champion is born earlier today. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins welcomed their first child, Rue. I think that's how you pronounce it, Roux, to the world in an Instagram post. And then basically, it was Becky Lynch. You have Seth Rollins' hand, Becky Lynch's hand, and then the baby's hand. And she goes, "Welcome to the world, Rue. You are the love of our lives." And then she puts hashtag and new. So and new parents at that. So congratulations to Seth and Becky. I've known about Becky Lynch for like a long time. She was at one point out in British Columbia, Canada. I think she had a run down in the East Coast as well. Had some kind of neck injury, if I believe correctly. And then you didn't hear from her or see her for the longest time. And to me, I think she had almost semi-retired. And then next thing you know, she ends up down in NXT, FCW, so to speak. And then all the career that she actually had. So, it's congrats to her for her longevity, but obviously congrats to her and Seth Rollins for becoming parents. It's the greatest gift, greatest feeling in the world there. From there, we go into Father Christmas by Chris Jericho and the Christmas Helves. That is available on YouTube. So if you ever want to hear Chris Jericho sing a Christmas song, it's called Father Christmas on YouTube. Again, CWNonline.ca for that. From there, it is the Christmas season. And I was going to put up Santa or something behind me, and I forgot all about it. But I'll tell you this, December 23rd, I am doing a Christmas show. So it'll be episode number 19, I believe, but it'll be Christmas show. So, I'll have my family on with me as well as, I'll be dressed up Christmas. Maybe I'll get an ugly Christmas sweater to go along with the show, but we'll see. But December 23rd. But anyways, the whole subject was Chris Jericho's Christmas song. And then Trish Stratus co-stars in Christmas in the Rockies. And there's a trailer on right now on YouTube. But anybody here in Canada who has City TV, it premieres December 24th on City TV. And again, that's Trish Stratus in a movie called Christmas in the Rockies. And like I said, there is a trailer on YouTube. You can find that on CWNonline.ca as well. Kenny Omega appears on Impact, promises huge surprise for Dynamite. Guess what didn't happen on Dynamite? The huge surprise, but he was on both shows. So it was unique to see. And I tell you this as a wrestling fan, the stuff that happened on Impact Wrestling as well as AEW this week. Impact Wrestling specifically, and I'll go into the highlights as I always do every show. But the fact is, when it comes down to it, seeing the bus pull up, hearing Josh Matthews, talk about it, seeing the graphics on the screen for Kenny Omega and Impact Wrestling and Don Callis wearing the AEW championship, it was all cool. And then all of a sudden you get to the interview portion and basically Josh Matthews enters the bus. Callis and Omega come out from, probably the front or the back of the bus, whatever the case may be. And then the first thing they do is change the nameplate on the belt, the AEW championship. And they, take the Moxley one, just toss it aside and then put Kenny's on there. And then, Matthews basically doesn't have a lot of talk time, but he asks the question and Omega kind of takes offense to it. And then it's basically 90% of the interview of Callis talking and then Omega talks. And Omega looked like that New Japan Kenny Omega that was existed in the Bullet Club. And if you can see behind me there, that's his Bullet Club t-shirt, the Terminator style one for Kenny Omega. and then right in front, obviously the Popo Funk, one of the two that I have. But in saying that, it was, to me, as a wrestling fan, and he wasn't even in the ring. He was basically just cutting a promo, but he reminded me of the closest version of, North American Kenny Omega that you could put back in the Bullet Club back in Japan. So I'm excited as a wrestling fan. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. And like I said, Kenny Omega on Impact Wrestling is absolutely phenomenal. And then besides that night, besides the content, which I honestly really love as far as Impact Wrestling goes. And they had, I think, a matter of 8 or 9 different Canadians on the show that night. So as a Canadian wrestling fan, CWN Online, Canadian Wrestling Network, so to speak. The fact is, when it comes down to it, it's just Impact Wrestling alone was great. And then all of a sudden you add Kenny Omega and Don Callis on top of it. That's great too. But then they played an ad that just made me laugh. And that was Tony Khan's paid ad on Impact Wrestling featuring him and Tony Schiavone. Doing old school kind of promo work, kind of putting down the tag division, kind of putting down Impact Wrestling's roster. Tony Khan basically say, I could buy Impact Wrestling if I wanted to. I could basically pull the plug and not let this, not let Omega do what he's doing and Callis do what they're doing. But it was a cool little promo between the two, and it's available on YouTube as well. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. From there, another promo on YouTube, which was great and not great all at the same time, but it's called Jailhouse Stock. It's called It's a Wonder, episode 11. That was on the 8th. That is Canada's own Sarah Stock, and that references the arrest that took place, in Indiana. But I'd never seen one of her episodes before, and I end up watching the episode, and then it got to the part where she ends up getting arrested, and she's talking about her cat Cookie. And I think her cat's Cookie is the name of the cat. But anyways, it's on YouTube as well. So you kind of feel for her. But from the sounds of it, everything is, she's done everything she possibly can with regards to what had taken place. But it's interesting to see, because she's kind of been living out of her van. And the one big thing I wonder, maybe she touches base previous episodes, but how she showers, because it looks like she sleeps in the van and she has a kitchen in the van and she feeds the cat in the van, everything else, and she travels in the van, obviously. But how does she shower? So anyways, it's interesting to see. But she does, like I said, this one episode does touch base on the arrest that took place, but she looks like she's heading in the right direction, and it was interesting to see. But it's called Jailhouse Stock. It's a Wonder, episode 11. A lot of YouTube references this week, I'm finding. Another one, Goldberg set sights on Roman Reigns with a shocking declaration on WWE's The Bump. So that every week, every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Canada anyways, The Bump hits WWE Network as well as YouTube. Goldberg was on there talking about the WWE Untold, I think, the streak, so Goldberg Street. And then the next thing you know, he challenges Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns basically says, look, I am the head of the table. I decide what's what. Kevin Owens, you're next, and kind of blows off Goldberg. He acknowledges what Goldberg said, but kind of blows it off. Article right now at WWE.com, so they played into it as well. So it looks like probably, I would say, with the way the things are lining up, it's going to be Kevin Owens this month. I got to say Goldberg for the Royal Rumble between him and Roman Reigns. And then February, I don't know if they're going to do Elimination Chamber or not. And then obviously, like I said, WrestleMania 37, I think it's going to be him and The Rock. I can't see why it wouldn't be. So, but I mean, you think about Kevin Owens and Goldberg, and then The Rock. That's huge for heel Roman Reigns there. Again, touching on YouTube. I swear to God, my whole show wasn't devoted to YouTube, but it's looking that way. Possibly Ethan Page's last Impact Wrestling vlog that came out on the 9th, so 2 days ago. And what he's referring to is this. So Ethan Page always releases a backstage vlog featuring Impact Wrestling, the stars of Impact Wrestling, him just being basically Julian, so to speak. Well, with that being said, his contract expires at the end of this year. So guys, it's the 11th. So we're talking, a matter of 20 days. So January 1st, he's a free agent. And from the way that things sound, it doesn't sound like he's going to re-sign with Impact Wrestling, which means no more basic, vlogs as far as Impact Wrestling goes. Is he going to test the free agent market? I don't know. We'll see. We know what happened with the Rascals. 2 of them signed right now by the WB NXT division down there for the Performance Center. Trey, I think I saw something about him recently, but I forget what it was. I'll have to check that out for maybe next episode there, but it wouldn't surprise me. It would and it wouldn't. I'm a huge fan of the North, huge fan of Impact Wrestling, but the fact is it would not surprise me if it was a contract situation between Impact Wrestling and Ethan Page. And where do we go with Josh Alexander? Because Josh Alexander, as far as I know, is signed till the end of 2021. He's a huge singles wrestler here in Canada for Destiny World Wrestling, of course. But when it comes down to it, the North is relevant as far as pro wrestling goes, Impact Wrestling goes. So it'd be interesting to see Josh Alexander, go on a singles run there in Impact Wrestling. Josh Alexander versus Kenny Omega, friggin' sign me up, I paid the $30, $40 to watch that on pay-per-view easily. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. What I said on a previous podcast, maybe have Ethan Page sign a 1-year deal just to have him and Josh Alexander basically be able to, end their contracts together there as far as Impact Wrestling goes. But when you think about it, Josh Alexander didn't get signed at the same time as Ethan Page. Ethan Page has gone through a battle just to become Ethan Page, who we see now as far as Impact Wrestling goes. Obviously he was the sidekick of Joseph Park originally, but the fact is I'm a huge fan of the North because it sucks to see them separate. But I think Josh Alexander as a singles competitor there in Impact Wrestling would be phenomenal as well. Mark Briscoe. I'm loving the segues here. So we go from the North breaking up to Mark Briscoe wrestling on his own. Not necessarily, though. He's wrestling without his brother, but he's still challenging for the Tag Team Championship, that final battle taking place December the 18th. And that is Mark Briscoe, and he's found a tag team partner in this one guy named PCO. So that's been announced. So Mark Briscoe, PCO, challenging for the World Tag Team titles there in ROH against Gresham, as well as Jay Lethal. How do I forget about that guy? Guys, you'll hear me touch on stuff in the podcast as far as what I enjoy personally as a wrestling fan. Bill Apter is one of those guys. I've known his name for like ever. Besides the Apter mags, when the internet hit and all of a sudden wrestling started becoming relevant as far as wrestling news sites go, OneWrestling.com was one of the first websites I actually went to get my news. Then all of a sudden, it was Mike Johnson, I think, and Dave Shearer that went off and did PWInsider.com. But OneWrestling.com remained existent. And then all of a sudden I saw there was a YouTube video that came out on the 9th. It was Bill Apter's statement about OneWrestling.com and his new internet destination. So I ended up watching the video. It's about 6 minutes in length. But it's Bill Apter's basically saying the One Wrestling video is going to stay intact. OneWrestling.com is not being transferred over to anybody. And when I checked the who is, so to speak, the website is going to exist till 2022. They have property as far as the internet, the website itself goes until 2022. But in that, that being said, One Wrestling video is cool because you get to see Bill Apter. But the fact is, VOCNation.com is where he's going. So if you want to check out more of Bill Apter online, it's going to be VOCNation.com. It's kind of sad because OneWrestling.com essentially is shutting down. It's been tough for wrestling websites this year. We had Casey Michael, Squared Circle Sirens. We had, and pardon me, the Larry Zonka, I think. And he was from 411 Mania, I believe it was. He ended up passing away, so 411 hasn't really been the same since. I know with Casey Michael and Squared Circle Sirens, I think they end up shutting down the website. Like, it still exists, but there's no more content going to it, which I see the same thing with regards to OneWrestling.com. What's going to happen there? AEW announces Holiday Bash, New Year's Smash special events that was released as part of AEW the other night. So guys, if you're interested in some holiday AEW, and I'm doing better this week. I actually organized all my articles. So anyways, December 23rd, AEW Dynamite Holiday Bash taking place right after the NBA. So Celtics and Bucks that night. So you'll see AEW Dynamite take place immediately following that. Hopefully, with us being here in Canada and it being on TSN2, hopefully they do the same kind of thing. I wouldn't, if all of a sudden I check the schedule on the 23rd and it's the Bucks versus the Celtics, I can almost guarantee the AEW Dynamite's going to be on after that. And we might have to wait a day, worst case scenario, end up watching NXT that night. But the fact is, Holiday Bash taking place on the 23rd. Night one of New Year's Smash taking place on the 30th. The article says special guests. But on the graphic that was on the television when they announced the show, it was Chris Jericho on commentary that night. I haven't seen anything as far as the graphics online go, which makes me think he's heading to Japan. But Tony Khan said no, it's not happening for Moxley's, and it's been hush hush about Jericho. But I think the two of those guys are going to head over to Japan there. Like I said, we didn't see I haven't said that yet, but Moxley was not on the show this week. So anyways, December 30th, New Year's Smash, night one, special guests had been announced for that on the, like I said, the 30th. And January 6th, New Year's Smash, night two. Which will be interesting because Snoop Dogg is going to be part of that. Apparently, he was involved with the Mike Tyson, the boxing match there, and he was all over Twitter, and people just loving it. I ended up picking up, so Xbox One fan, by the way, ended up picking up NHL 20 because it was on sale at the Source here in Canada. And I got it about 6 weeks to 2 months ago. And then anyways, when you're playing some of the preseason games, Snoop Dogg does commentary on that. I was like, holy crap, what the heck is Snoop Dogg doing on my freaking video game? But he's all over the place. So he'll be part of AEW on, like I said, January the 6th. So anyways, that is it for AEW holiday stuff coming up. Flip Gordon goes for the pure gold against Jonathan Gresham at Final Battle. That came out on the 10th. So it looks like we've got Jonathan Gresham, wrestling twice next weekend. But I mean, he's a skilled, talented wrestler. He's one of the smallest guys I think I've ever seen in the ring, but he makes up for it as far as his talent goes. But it'd be interesting to see there. Bobby Fish underwent surgery following NXT War Games, so that was released on the 10th as well. Post Wrestling, I think, put out an article, and yeah, it was Post Wrestling. So I'm just bringing up the article here. So following NXT TakeOver War Games, several talents were hurt coming out of the match. War Games, come to expect it during the 12/9 episode of NXT. So this past Wednesday's video package air, which featured all competitors in both War Games matches, speaking out against the aftermath of the bouts. In the video, it was revealed that Candice LeRae suffered a broken arm. Okay, that's news to me. Like I said, I didn't see NXT, so it looks like we got a broken arm there. Dakota Kai will be gone for a while. So not exactly sure with regards to, exactly what's going on with her. And also Bobby Fish had surgery following War Games to reattach a tricep. That just sounds ouch. So yeah, thoughts and strength with those three there, Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, and Bobby Fish. And Bobby Fish has had some injuries. So I think he's up there in age, though. But he's one of the most gifted wrestlers as far as NXT goes. So hopefully it's a speedy recovery for him. But the reattachment of a tricep just, that sounds horrible. Final Battle Hour 1 featuring 4-way for World TV title shot airs free on multiple platforms. So that came out yesterday as well. So guys, if you're a fan of free wrestling or ROH in general, wrestling fans can watch the first hour of Final Battle, Ring of Honor's biggest show of the year, from free on multiple platforms. Final Battle Hour 1 will be streamed on Friday, December 18th from 8 till 9 p.m. Eastern on Best of the Planet, which is ROH, one of their streaming platforms. Stir City, Facebook, YouTube. The entire 4-hour Final Battle broadcast will be available on pay-per-view, Honor Club, and Fight. So that takes place next weekend. But you get an hour, so to speak, pre-show as far as ROH goes. I'll get more into that just in a moment or so, because there was some news that came out today with regards to ROH, which, again, attaches itself to this this year. But anyways, Impact Wrestling touts total viewership across multiple platforms for this show that's happened this past Tuesday. So I'm just going to bring up the article here. This came from Post Wrestling as well. Impact Wrestling's most recent episode of the weekly series on Access was built around a segment with Don Callis, AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. Record number of viewers that tuned into Impact Wrestling's Twitch stream. And according to Showbuzz Daily, the show did 221 viewers on the night, along with a 0.8 in the 18 to 49 demo. Impact issued a press release touting the total viewership that was accumulated across multiple platforms. Immediately following the show, Impact aired a replay of the program on their YouTube channel, which hit over 10,000 viewers. Impact is noting that more than 750,000 fans tuned in overall, and below is the official press release. So if you go to postwrestling.com, you can find that. You go to cwnonline.ca, you can find that as well. But Impact Wrestling did well this week as far as the hype with Kenny Omega and Don Callis went, and 750 total views is pretty good for Impact Wrestling there. As well, AEW scores highest head-to-head figure since October 2019, so this was huge as well. So basically, after a week of buzz surrounding the arrival of Sting, an interpromotional angle, and the advertisement of Shaquille O'Neal, AEW posted one of his strongest numbers to date. So obviously winners coming last week. Omega with the championship. Impact Wrestling took place on Tuesday. Dynamite finished number 2 among all cable programs with a .45 in the 18 to 49 demo and averaged 995,000 viewers. To put that into perspective, NXT coming off of NXT Takeover, 659,000 viewers. So obviously, people were excited with regards to AEW and the Shaquille O'Neal announcement. I don't know how many people tuned in for Shaq, but the fact is, when it comes down to it, it was the Kenny Omega stuff, as well as all the information with regards to Impact Wrestling there. So, congrats to those guys for doing what they do, and especially after NXT puts on a pay-per-view. So, I get to say this right now: NXT should switch nights. 2021, new year. Go to Tuesdays. That's all I can say. And I understand Vince McMahon's theory. So you take that 995 or whatever it was, and you add up the 6 something for NXT, and they're getting into Raw and SmackDown viewership. And maybe that's McMahon's thinking on this. And apparently, they say, oh, McMahon, blah, 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 doesn't have a lot to do with NXT. It's like BS. If he wanted them to be on Tuesday, NXT would be on Tuesday. But I think that's why he doesn't want those numbers on Wednesday night, comparing to, like I said, Raw and SmackDown. And what happens if he moves to Tuesday nights? And what happens if AEW does what I just said? And what happens if on Tuesday nights they're tanking and they're doing like 800,000 people, with no competition? Then what? They've moved nights for no reason at all. So it's interesting, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. But to me, I think at this point, NXT's coming off of NXT TakeOver. It was an amazing pay-per-view. Finn Balor had made the announcement that he was coming back to the show, and they still got their butts kicked. So it's unfortunate. But again, it's been going on for months. What do you do? And the big thing is, like I said, when it comes down to it, is move them to a different night, move them to Tuesdays. So have to wait and see if it ever happens. New Japan Pro Wrestling crowns winners of Best of the Super Junior 27 World Tag League 2020. That was earlier this morning. So Hiromu Takahashi ends up winning the Super Juniors. So he'll be going on to face Ishimori, I believe. He ended up pinning Desperado. But I haven't seen it yet, but it looks like Desperado looks like his mask got so ripped off from the article I'm reading here. He basically ditched the match, which is interesting because you've seen moments and glimpses with Phoenix and Pentagon and Rey Mysterio, obviously, but they've always kept the masks on. I think I saw it was a CMLL event. I think it was LA Park or La Park, and the same thing happened to them. And you could see their face, but they still kept that mask on. So it'd be interesting to see Desperado just kind of say, screw the mask. And then from there, like I said, it was also the World Tag League 2020, and a little bit biased with this one, but in the semi-main event, the Guerrillas of Destiny defeated Finn Juice Robinson, and David Finlay, thanks to interference from both Jericho and Kenta. So they will go on to face the tag team champions, probably coming up in January, I believe, there. But Juice Robinson today, losing in the semi-main event for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Juice Robinson 6 years ago, losing to Kevin Owens at NXT TakeOver there. So December the 11th, not a lucky day for Juice Robinson, CJ Parker, so to speak. New Japan's 49th anniversary show to take place at Budokan Hall. That looks to be coming up in March. I think March the 4th. Just going to double check the date there. Yep, March the 4th, 2021, Budokan Hall. So this year was canceled, obviously, due to COVID, but that'll be one of the next big events for New Japan Pro Wrestling. From there, so this is what I was referring to earlier with regards to Ring of Honor, so ROH. 4 performers will not appear at ROH Final Battle as a result of pre-travel testing protocols. So this was announced today. So obviously, ROH doing what they need to, basically to sit and do things properly and do things safely. So this comes courtesy of ROHWrestling.com. With the health and safety of ROH's talent, staff, and fans, the company's #1 priority during the pandemic, ROH enacted stringent COVID-19 protocols in conjunction with the Maryland State Athletic Commission. As a result of pre-travel testing, the following performers will not appear at the Final Battle pay-per-view on December 18th. Bandito, EC3, Flamita, and Kenny King. All four performers are doing well and resting at home. ROH wishes them a speedy recovery and looks forward to the return to action in 2021. All other ROH performers, production staff, and general staff are safely in the ROH bubble after passing their second round of tests. Changes to the ROH Final Battle card given this development will be announced during ROH Final Battle Hour 1, which airs free from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock on the 18th. So that officially comes from ROHWrestling.com there. So they're doing what they can to keep things safe. But EC3 is off the show, so he'll have to wait to basically make an impact, so to speak, as far as ROH goes. So, but good for ROH for doing what they need to. A little bit of last news as far as pro wrestling goes. Ethan Page not expected to re-sign with Impact Wrestling. Touched base on that earlier there. That was out by Fightful.com. Kenny Omega returning to Impact Wrestling will headline wrestling pay-per-views. So, huge fan of the Wrestling Observer as well as F4WOnline.com. This was released, I think, in Meltzer's newsletter, but I guess what we have going forward is this, and that is basically Kenny Omega still being part of Impact Wrestling, still showing up on Impact Wrestling, and eventually wrestling against probably some of their champions. I mean, if you watch the promo with regards to Impact Wrestling, he had said, the whole belt collector term made famous by Austin Aries back in the day. But Kenny Omega against Rich Swann, Kenny Omega, taking on, I'm not going to say Rohit Raju because it's not going to happen, but I'll get into that. Well, you know what? It's going to be a separate show anyways, but I think as far as the pay-per-view tomorrow night goes, and I'm talking with regards to Final Resolution, I think based on what happened on Impact Wrestling, Rohit Raju basically saying to TJP, hey, it's an open challenge, last one of the year, but you don't get a shot because your name's TJP. I think we're going to see the re-debut of Manic or Suicide, but I think TJP is going to end up taking the title tomorrow at Final Resolution one way or another. And I think it'd be absolutely cool. I referenced earlier on to Josh Alexander as well as Kenny Omega, those two fighting, but I think TJP versus Kenny Omega would be absolutely phenomenal as well for the X Division Championship. So, yeah. That would be phenomenal. Report: The Rock has said he's open to wrestling Roman Reigns in 2022. I've talked about that on the show, and like I said, I think WrestleMania is going to happen. I think it's going to be Rock versus Roman, and the way they're setting it up right now, if they continue with it, like I said, Kevin Owens this month, Goldberg for Royal Rumble. February, whether or not to do Elimination Chamber, and then The Rock for WrestleMania would be absolutely phenomenal. Raw highlights this week: Asuka defeats Shayna Baszler. Ricochet and Dana defeats Slapjack and Reckoning. Second loss in a row for Reckoning. Believe she kept her mask on the entire match, though, so good for her. Kingston defeats Benjamin, and then Alexander defeats Kingston. So was Kingston tired, or is Cedric Alexander better than Shelton Benjamin? We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Styles, Miz, and Morrison defeat McIntyre and Sheamus. Lashley defeats Hardy, and then Orton and Wyatt went to a no contest. Obviously, a little bit of trick photography or trick video here, but lights go out, and it's Orton fighting Bray Wyatt, and lights go out. Next thing you know, it's the Fiends attacking Randy Orton. So it was interesting as a wrestling fan to see, but they're doing what they can with regards to video, so as a fan, you really didn't know, you weren't watching live, but next thing you know, the Fiend's in the ring. And I talked about this earlier on to Impact Wrestling on a previous show. They had done it with Susie and Sue Young, and I thought that was cool, but I don't know, it's COVID's got this it sucks, but it's making wrestlers and wrestling promotions, basically be more creative, so to speak. So it has been interesting. Shockwave highlights for NWA: Camille defeats Simone Sherry. Eli Drake defeats Eric Watts. Thunder Rosa retains the NWA Women's Championship against Priscilla Kelly. So obviously some of the matches taking place here have appeared or have been displayed on UWN Primetime Live. Next week has been announced: Trevor Murdoch facing Sandow, whatever his name is now, but he's still the North American champ for the NWA. the red belt, whatever the NWA red belt is, but he's still champion, and we know Trevor Murdoch ends up winning the title there. So, but again, if you haven't seen the UWM primetime stuff, now is your chance to be able to watch it for free every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. AEW Dark highlights, 16 matches. That's all I put down for that. So quite a bit of wrestling, AEW. Impact highlights, Sabin defeats Alexander. So that was a really good match. End up watching Impact Wrestling this week. AEW ad came on. That was Tony Khan, Tony Schiavone. Myers defeats TJP. We got Eric Young defeating Cody Deaner. Like I said, heavy Canadian presence as far as the show goes. Taya Valkyrie, Rosemary defeats Perazo and Lee. So Taya and Rosemary advance in the tournament there. We got Chris Bay and Moose defeating Swan and Mac in the main event. And then we had the Omega interview, which was great. And the way they had presented it was phenomenal as well. ROH highlights, Bennett defeats Vincent by DQ. The Foundation is revealed as Titus. So Rhett Titus. We got Tracy Williams, Jay Lethal, as well as Jonathan Gresham. Mark Briscoe announces PCO as his tag team partner, and then Tracy Williams defeats John Walters in a pure rules match. MLW highlights, Low Key defeats Richard Holiday to advance in the Opera Cup. Von Erichs, who were the champions for the tag team division there, them in Contra, which was Jacob Fatu and Simon Gotch, ends in a no contest. So, yeah, it's MLW is going to be interesting to where they're going in 2021. They've lost, some of their mainstays, but with the Contra unit as well as the Opera Cup, it'll be interesting to see, like I said, where they would go with 2021. NXT highlights, Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, Kyle O'Reilly, Damian Priest were in the promo in the beginning there. They're all challenging Balor, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, I think they're setting up, I think it's a triple threat, and the winner gets Balor. And that will be for, I guess it would be the New Year's Evil show that's coming up. Then we get Finn Balor and Scarlett segment. So obviously, Karrion Kross is in the background lurking. Obviously, we're going to see that match eventually. They're protecting Balor right now because of his jaw being messed up, but he's still being relevant on TV, not being stripped of the title, because that would have sucked. Would have had back-to-back strippings as far as NXT champions go. Where are we here? Atlas defeats Swerve. Looks like Swerve's going heel, which would be interesting. And we've got Grizzled Young Veterans defeat Never Rise and Imperium. Triple threat match. Ciampa defeats Grimes. Cross, Priest do their segment there. So Cross comes out and attacks Damian Priest. And Pete Dunne defeats Killian Dane, and Raquel Gonzalez defeats Ember Moon in the main event. AEW highlights, Bucks defeats TH2. That was a good match. Sting, Cody, Darby Allin promo took place. Sting ended up hugging Schiavone twice and said, "It's good to see you, man." And then Darby Allin looked like a superstar sitting up there in the rafters with the TNT Championship. And then Cody just looked like a dork. And Sting, to me, I'm loving it. As long as you don't put him in the ring too many times next year, I'm okay with that. But just the presence of Sting to be able to give the rub to the younger guys, and maybe we'll see him tag team with Darby Allin, and all of a sudden maybe there's a match, whatever the case may be, Dustin and Cody versus Sting and Darby Allin, whatever the case may be. That'd be a kind of interesting match there. FTR was back on the show, defeating the Varsity Blonde. Shaq's segment takes place. He gets water doused on him by Brandy because she's taking offense to pretty much everything Shaq said. Inner Circle Ultimatum, which was funny because of Jericho being Jericho. I'm still waiting for Inner Circle to turn. Thoughts and prayers are with Santana right now. He lost his stepfather. Jericho played it up that Santana was too PO to be on the show. Anyways, Sammy shook the hands with MJF. They got to the bottom of Wardlow and Hager, and they basically sound like a bunch of teenagers. Like, he keeps looking at me, and he keeps looking at me, and he keeps creeping me out, and blah 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 blah. And so all of a sudden Jericho's like, from this point forward, don't stare at each other anymore. And they both agree, and the next thing you know, they're staring at each other again. So, but it's funny, and Jericho being in the middle of that, it's Jericho being Jericho, right? Kingston, Butcher, and Blade defeats Archer, Phoenix, and Penta. That was unique. Penta got put through a table. I don't know if it was before the match or in the beginning moment of the match, but Penta, it was like a 3-on-2 handicap match. And Archer's team ends up losing. He attacks them post-match, but I think it was Phoenix took the fall, so Archer still looks strong. But the fact is, I'm surprised to see the family, so to speak, go over in this match here. Omega interview took place. Him and Don Callis in the ring. Shivani, I think, was in there too. He just kind of got shoved aside, and then there was no big announcement, so it was basically heels being heels. MJF defeats OC for the Dynamite Diamond ring in the final. It was a good match. A lot of people ringside for this. Almost looked like a lumberjack match at one point. But what does OC do with the ring? I mean, does he does he pawn it? Because it just makes sense to have MJF just be MJF still with regards to that Dynamite Diamond ring, so to speak. Last little bit, NXT UK highlights. Jordan Devlin defeats Oliver Carter, an open challenge. Zia Brookside is back. She defeated Isla Dawn. Jeez, I'm bad at butchering the names. NXT UK Heritage Champion A-Kid defeats Tyler Bate. And this is, I think, was Tyler Bates' first match back in a long while. He's got no longer just that little trim mustache going on. He's got a full-ass beard going on right now. But it was good to see Tyler Bate come back. And NXT UK looking strong. Still waiting for the Jordan Devlin versus Santos Escobar match to eventually happen. But obviously, they've got to get one of those guys over to the UK or the other guy over to the US and have them drop the title. But maybe it's a WrestleMania type thing. So maybe we'll have to wait a couple more months for that. Ratings this week, 1,737,000 for Raw, 0.51 in the 18 to 49 demo, which amounts to fourth for the night on cable. In Canada, 254,900, 117,300 in the 25 to 54 demo. So almost half of those people are at 25 to 54. And then the third in night for sports programs as far as Raw went on Monday. Impact Wrestling talked about that, of course, with their ratings. AEW 995.45 in the 18 to 49 demo, which made it second for the night on cable. And then NXT 659.17 in the 18 to 49 demo, 37th for the night for NXT coming off of NXT TakeOver. That's insane. SmackDown preview announced before the show went on the air. My show, by the way. Banks Carmella contract signing. Zayn versus Big E in a non-title match. Montez Ford in a singles belt going against Dolph Ziggler. Oh, excuse me. And then the debut of WB Thunderdome at Tropicana Field. So that'll be interesting to see as well. 205 preview, nothing announced as far as the beginning of the show went. And then New Japan Strong preview, main event, Carl Fredericks taking on Jay White. Jay White, former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, taking on Carl Fredericks, like I said, 2019 Young Lion Cup winner. So that'll be interesting there. New Japan Super Cup 2020 taking place tomorrow. I was originally going to do a prediction show as well as recap show, but just family stuff, and not in a bad way. It's Christmas, family and everything else. So I am going to do Impact with regards to their pay-per-view, but I'm going to do just a preview of the Super J Cup right now, and then next week I'll talk about it as far as the results go. But tomorrow, and this is going to be taking place in New Japan World. I believe it's a 10 o'clock start time, so 10 o'clock at night start time as far as Super J Cup goes. CWNonline.ca, you can check that out as far as details go. But we got Clark Connors taking on Chris Bay from Impact Wrestling. We've got ACH taking on TJP, Impact Wrestling as well. Ray Horace taking on Blake Christian. And then we've got Leo Rush taking on El Fantasmo. And this is the interesting thing here, because El Fantasmo, if he wins the tournament, he's winning back-to-back tournaments. So it'll be absolutely amazing to see El Fantasmo do that. But a little bit of a bias because he is Canadian, but this is a Canadian show, so I will leave it at that there. From there, guys, we've got Final Resolution. Like I said, I'm going to do a prediction show as well as a recap show. Prediction show will take place tomorrow live, and that'll be a 3 o'clock start time on Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. So Impact Wrestling Final Resolution 2020 prediction show tomorrow, 3 p.m. live, Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. And then the recap show will be about 11:30-ish tomorrow night when the show goes off the air. And I will talk about all the highlights as well as the results for that there tomorrow night as well. Like I said, about 11:30-ish live, but Facebook, Impact, Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. MMA quickly here. DC and Helwane, December 7th, a new episode was released on YouTube. One Big Bag and 2, so one championship MMA promotion over there in Singapore. You can check out the highlights, the results, the feed, so to speak, CWNonline.ca right now, as well as YouTube. Bellator 254. Big news from this, Juliana Velasquez wins the title, and then the show didn't air on DAZN, and the reason for it is apparently it looks like DAZN and Bellator are done. They have promoted people to go to CBS Sports Network to be able to watch Bellator from now on, but it looks like the partnership between DAZN as well as Bellator is done at this point. Fighters get big win and potentially historic UFC antitrust case. This broke right before I went on the air. The reason I want to bring this up was this. I'll just read the opening statement here. Key victory Thursday. Around 1,200 current and former UFC fighters with class action certified by Nevada District Court judge. A big step in the antitrust case against Zuffa UFC that has been going on for 6 years. So what it comes down to is this. By doing so, the case now becomes consolidated, meaning that each of those fighters do not have to file individual lawsuits against Zuffa UFC. Instead of the possibility of 1,200 separate cases, there is now just one, and it says Zuffa UFC is expected to appeal. So that's absolutely huge, and where it's going to go, I don't know. But the fact is, it's UFC fighters, and basically, saying we have rights. And from there, it'll be interesting as far as 2021 goes and where that goes. And then UFC 256, Figueiredo taking on Moreno. That takes place tomorrow on pay-per-view. The UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Devison Dustagera Figueiredo defends the UFC Flyweight Championship against number 1 ranked Brandon the Assassin Baby Moreno. So that's 10 p.m. tomorrow on pay-per-view as well as UFC Fight Pass. Prelims 8 p.m. on TSN5. Early prelims 7:30 p.m. on UFC Fight Pass. So for more information, check those out there. So guys, I'm going to do right before getting into Canadian Independent Wrestling. Jeez, I've been going on for about an hour now. Before I talk about Canadian Independent Wrestling, I'm going to bring up this. Ryan Knight of Knights of the Squared Circle. Apparently he had a head injury earlier this year, which I wasn't aware of, but apparently he's waiting for news to come back on it. So thoughts and prayers with him. And in saying that, I'm going to play his promo for the Knights of the Squared Circle. And then once that's done, I will come back with talking about Canadian Independent Wrestling here. So sit back and relax, guys.
Are you a pro wrestling fan? Do you want the latest info on shows and the stars that appear throughout Ontario? Are you looking for information and insight into the independent wrestling scene? Want interviews and information on the big leagues? Then you want Knights of the Squared Circle with Ryan Knight on Coyote 103. Ryan has his finger on the pulse of wrestling in Ontario on every level, and he brings that to you every Sunday at noon. Listen for your wrestling fix with Ryan Knight and Knights of the Squared Circle, Sunday at noon, only on Coyote 103.
So not much of a break, but enough time for me to get some water into me and just stretch a little bit. But yeah, so hashtag we are CIW, and then the web address for us is CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca. And like I said, Ryan Knight's thoughts and prayers are with him with regards to some good news, with regards to waiting for the results. Saw that on Facebook earlier today. But you can check him out, knightsofthesc.com. So Knights of the Squared Circle is knightsofthesc.com. Give them some love. Check out their webpage as well as their social media. And yeah, I don't think he's ever been on CWN Weekly, but I know he was on some of the previous stuff I had done. But Ryan's a great guy. I think I got to meet him Fanshawe College back in February or so for a Smash Wrestling event. But anyways, yeah, thoughts and prayers, like I said, with him as far as some good news there. So 2 big announcements taking place here, and this is regards to Canadian Independent Wrestling. So like I said, hashtag we are CIW. Take that hashtag we are CIW, put it into Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, and you'll get all the articles related to anything that's been posted with regards to Canadian Independent Wrestling and CWN. So New School Wrestling said this on December the 9th, and this was on Facebook. To our fans, we'd like to take the time to thank every one of you that spends your hard-earned dollars on us, whether it's coming to our shows, watching our YouTube content, or ordering our recent iPay-per-view offerings. Thank you for the support now and over the years. With that being said, our past 2 events have been pay-per-views, and we had encountered a few technical issues that we've been working on ironing out the kinks, which we can assure you we've been working on and feel we have succeeded at doing so. Now, with the world in the middle of a situation none of us have ever thought we'd ever be dealing with, things do not look to be changing anytime soon. Therefore, we feel that the iPay-per-view method is the best option we have and could be continuing going forward for the time being. Which brings us to season's beatings on December 27th. We will be presenting this event for free as both a gift to our loyal fans and as a way of showing the fans that we have worked out the kinks and how things will look going forward with the iPay-per-view model. Therefore, we invite you to tune in Sunday, December 27th at 4 p.m. as they thank you fans for being our fans. Sorry, it kind of stumbled out, but it was a long one there. But the fact is, it's good news. So NSW New School Wrestling Seasons Beatings 2020 taking place for free December 27th. So if you're a fan of independent wrestling here in Canada, you can check that out. So that was NSW New School Wrestling. Another announcement released by Canadian Wrestling's Elite. So for those unfamiliar, NSW New School is Ontario-based. Canadian Wrestling's Elite mainly is Manitoba-based, but they do tours as well. They have done Northern Alberta and then Saskatchewan and then what did I say? Did I say Northern Alberta? I meant Northern Ontario. They've done Alberta and then Saskatchewan as well, but their main province is Manitoba. But on the 9th as well, rescheduled CWA Edge of Insanity tour dates. Unfortunately, yesterday saw both the Manitoba and Alberta provincial governments extend current restrictions or impose new restrictions that will prevent public gatherings with an expiry date that surpasses our currently scheduled 8 events in December, January, as part of the Edge of Insanity tour between the two provinces. As a result, all 8 tour dates have been rescheduled into February in hopes that there aren't multiple more extensions between the current expiration dates and the new tour dates, and that the tour will be able to proceed as planned. So rescheduled tour dates are as followed. So Friday, February 5th is in Winnipeg, February 6th in Morden, Manitoba, February 7th, Gladstone, Manitoba, February 10th, Medicine Hat, Alberta, February 11th, Calgary, Alberta, February 12th, Red Deer, Alberta, February 13th, St. Albert, Alberta, and February 14th, Valentine's Day, Grand Prairie, Alberta. For more information as it becomes available, stay posted to cwecanada.ca. So big news there from CWE with regards to their shows, but I mean, again, they are being safe, following provincial guidelines here in Canada, and I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is. So 2 big pieces of news there from NSW and CWE, as well as big news: Go Hard Pro Ontario Indie Holiday Special taking place for free on YouTube on Christmas Eve. So that is coming up shortly, and it's weird because you know, back in November, so to speak, you're saying Christmas Eve, and the next thing you know, it's like, think about it today, it's only 13 days away. So in 13 days, we got Go Hard Pro Ontario Indie Holiday Special taking place for free. Talent announced so far has been this: Luke Perrin, Evan Greenway, Antihero SOS, Vaughn Vertigo, Tony Adams, Alexia Nicole, Brad Myers, Pretty Ricky Wilde, Buzz Media Productions, Alessandro Del Bruno, and Kobe Durst was announced just before the show took place today. So again, Go Hard Pro Ontario Indie Holiday Special taking place for free on YouTube on Christmas Eve. So looking forward to that. 11th day today of Thesmis. So the 11th day of Thesmis is something being produced by the one and only Tyson Dukes on YouTube. So today's topic was the double underhook suplex. So you can check that out, youtube.com. Under Tyson Dukes, or you can check out our YouTube channel, which is simply youtube.com/CWN online, and you can check out the 11th day of Thesmis. Tomorrow's the 12th day, so looking forward to see what he's going to produce tomorrow. George Mackay has got big news coming up with regards to MLW and talking about them. I think for 2021, I think he's hooked up with the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. I think that's the proper name of it, but they'll be doing a MLW recap show, and he's got I think it's not Hammerstone. It is, pardon me, but he's a big guest lined up for one of the first MLW shows they're going to do. Anyways, Vidcast 27 was released yesterday featuring Danny Limelight. So check that out again, YouTube. But the fact is, you can go to CWN YouTube account. You'll be able to find the link there as well. Guys, like I said, CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca is the official web address for anything that has to do with Canadian independent wrestling. As I'm saying that, I'm just going to check and see where we're at as far as Members go for the group. Group is free. Canadian Independent Wrestling.ca forwards you to the group. There may be an eventual website, sometime soon. Wink, wink. But for right now, it does forward you to the group. So right now, as far as Canadian Independent Wrestling goes, we are at, oh, shoot. I went to the, so there's a group and a page. The page has the events that take place. The group itself is for interactions and everything else. So I went to the page, which only has the, like I said, the events taking place, which is not a bad thing, but it's not a lot of events taking place right now. The group itself is what's interactive. So 423 members. So we're doing pretty good as far as the group goes. So just simply on Facebook, type in Canadian Independent Wrestling, or like I said, CanadianIndependentWrestling.ca, the web address that you can see on the screen right now. And check out the group, but it's interaction between promoters, fans, wrestlers, podcasters, talent. It's an amazing group. Starting about, I think it was 2 years ago, but 423 as far as our members go right now. So absolutely phenomenal. So thank you very much to everybody who is a part of the group. As well, can't end the show without talking about Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame presented by CWN that is taking place Monday, January the 18th, 2021, 7:00 p.m. start time. We will unveil the winners of the Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2021. As well as that special 9th category. And I will be starting to reach out to those winners, so to speak, in the next week or so. And then basically 2021, when it hits, you will see basically CPW HOF continuously be part of this show in getting to that January 18th date, which is the 12th anniversary of CWN. So it's not just a date that's been picked out of the air, but January 18th, 2021, you'll see the Canadian Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2021 officially take place. Something else is going to take place as of next week. So December the 17th, you'll be able to vote for the 2020 CWN Awards. 8 categories in total to vote for. Voting will take place from Thursday, December 17th through Thursday, December 31st, 2020. I'll have the links on the CWN website, so cwnonline.ca. But like I said, there'll be 8 categories to vote for. I know who my picks are already. I'm going to wait and see what takes place tomorrow. So there's going to be 5 names in each category, basically, and I'm waiting to see what happens tomorrow to see who makes that 5th name in one of the certain categories there. And then, like I said, December 17th, you'll be able to see on CWNonline.ca, you'll be able to vote and be able to see who's in all 8 of those categories there. So look for that coming up soon. As well as coming up soon, as far as our schedule goes, is this CWN Predicts Impact Wrestling Final Resolution 2020 taking place live tomorrow. There'll be 3:00 p.m. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Do the predictions for the Final Resolution, somewhat of a pay-per-view, but it's on Impact Plus. So sign up for Impact Plus. All you need is a debit or credit card, as well as an email address, and you can sign up for a 30-day free trial, not get charged, be able to watch Final Resolution for free on Impact Plus tomorrow. Tomorrow night, CWN Recap, Impact Wrestling Final Resolution 2020 as well. Again, live Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. That'll be 11 p.m.-ish. Depending on when it goes off the air. So 15 to 20 minutes after it goes off the air, you'll see me back online to do the results, to recap my thoughts on the show itself. CWN Weekly episode number 18 taking place live next Friday, December the 18th. That'll be 3 p.m. That is live Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube as you're watching right now. And like I said earlier in the show, you can check us out at iHeartRadio. So we are on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube on a regular basis as far as live shows or premieres go. You can also check us out on audio. And with regards to audio itself, so you want to listen to a podcast during your drive home, during your bus ride, during your morning walk, whatever the case may be. We are officially on Anchor, which kind of feeds out to a lot of different platforms. But besides Anchor, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, SoundCloud, and all over the place. But the best way to be able to check that out and check out the links as well is to head over to one of our social media feeds, or just if you're watching right now. on YouTube or Facebook. You can see the links that are part of this episode there, and all the links for whatever social media platform or whatever platform you listen to audio on is going to be on there as well. But like I said, we're officially now on iHeartRadio, and it's not it's not that big of a deal to a lot of people, but to me it is. It's like finally, because it took probably a good 6 weeks, and one of the reasons for it is because it's not CWN Weekly as far as the podcast goes, where you submit to basically to iHeart. It's CWN only. And I think that's why it took a little bit. But I had submitted twice. But finally I am on iHeartRadio. So a little bit of excitement there for all the stupid reasons in the world. But guys, it's been a fun show. It's been a long show. As always, how I end the show here is this. So you check this email address out, feedback@cwnonline.ca. It's the best way to get in touch with the show, as well as doing this. Chris is my name. Yeah, it's been a long one. So at Chris Maloney, CWN, Instagram, as well as Twitter. I'm on Reddit as well, but not that often. But if you want to follow me on social media, at Chris Maloney, CWN. And like I said, Instagram and Twitter for sure there. And as far as the show goes itself, so we've got a couple of recap shows coming up, a couple of prediction shows coming up. You'll be able to see those listed. CWNonline.ca always has the listings there as well. But as far as everything else goes, the shows itself for the end of the year will be this. Like I said, December 18th will be episode 18. December 23rd, the Christmas show will be on December 23rd, the Christmas show will be episode number 19. December 30th will be episode number 20. That'll be the last show for 2020. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I've got some guests lined up. So hopefully I've got 3 guests lined up before the end of the year. Touch base with 2 of them already, just a matter of scheduling. So hopefully I'll be able to launch interviews next week, episode 19, episode 20 as well. But I'll keep you guys posted, and you won't see anything online, but I'll announce at the beginning of the show if we've got a guest for the show itself. So guys, that is it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I appreciate all the feedback that I do receive. All the follows and likes I get on social media and this and that, all the stats. Oh, and speaking of stats, the last thing I'm going to end on is this. So I checked out the stats as far as the website goes itself, and we're getting about 1,600 new hits a month, which is absolutely phenomenal. So CWNonline.ca, and I have so it's all through WordPress, and there's a plugin, so to speak, through WordPress that you can download, and I did. And it keeps track of all the stats through the website, which is absolutely phenomenal. So like I said, when I checked the other day, it was about 1,600 new visitors a month are coming to the website. So that's absolutely phenomenal. But again, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I really mean it. Without the website, this podcast wouldn't exist. Without the podcast, you wouldn't see me doing anything more than just being a wrestling fan. But I enjoy doing the website, I enjoy doing the podcast, and I enjoy interacting with everybody I get to interact with. So in saying that, guys, that is it for the show. Again, thoughts and prayers, the family, friends, and fans of Tom Tiny Lister, aka Zeus, 62 years old, passed away. But you'll see the last graphic for today's show. Paying respect to him. But guys, thank you very much for watching and listening. Hopefully you check out the prediction show for Impact Wrestling Final Resolution tomorrow, as well as the recap show. And then, like I said, we'll be back next Friday, December 18th for episode number 18 of CWN Weekly. So with saying that, thank you very much, guys, for watching and listening. Take care and have a great week.